Welcome back, everyone. We have a great guest. We have Eyal from DAATH. How are you doing today?
Very good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, man.
Awesome.
Well, let's get into this. You guys are coming back from a 13-year hiatus, releasing your fifth studio record. How was the writing and recording approach for this record different compared to your 2010 record?
I'll start with how it was the same.
Okay.
So what was the same was me sitting down with a guitar and a blank screen and just kind of going for it and getting obsessed with it and just doing my thing. So that was the same. That's kind of the through line for
Mhm.
all the records. What was different was new people to work with, and that was really really cool. Uh, the new lineup they're all really, really great writers. In addition to being really great players, they're all really creative and uh, they've just got great tastes. So the collaborative side of it, I'd say, was more pronounced on this one, because I could send something to Krim
Mhm.
and know that if he didn't like it or he didn't like a direction it was going, I could trust that. And if he made a suggestion for where I should take it, it was usually the right suggestion. And when he'd give me drums to work with, they elevated the songs to
Mhm.
where I could then go back and refine everything. Same with Raphael. Or when Jesse would do his thing, it was the same. Like they made the songs better. So it was it took more I took more people's input. Or I'd say that people's input was much more cherished. More of a group effort, I'd say, but like still the fundamental core of it was the same.
Definitely. That's crazy. It's crazy because this is, like you said, a whole new lineup. How did this come about? Because Krim's a insane drummer from Septic Flush. Like, how did you get all these cool members into DAATH?
So, when I decided I wanted to start it back up, I hit Sean up because he's been in since
Mhm.
2007, and asked him if he wanted to do it, and he said, "Yeah, he's been waiting for the call for like 13 years." And I told him that we're doing it regardless of who does it with us. So,
Mhm.
like, we're not getting younger. We tried to restart it a bunch of times and it didn't work. Like it's happening this time, and people are either on board or they're not. So, fast forward a little bit, we had to get new people. And the thoughts I had were we need to get the right people because I know what it's like when you don't. You end up going on hiatus for a long time and things end up not working. And the right people that there's several aspects, like they have to be great players, really good writers, they have to like understand the vision, they have to be cool with how things work, they have to be cool to get along with. Like there's lots of different things, but one of the big ones for me was that they everyone has something else going on, because that keeps this project pure. To where someone only has this project, then every single like creative impulse they have and like every stress they have about their life or whatever is going to be funneled and channeled into this, which is going to take it off course. With everybody having something important, like Jesse's got Riot Games, Krim has Septic Flesh, I have URM Academy and Riff Hard. Like we're able to keep this true and pure to what it's supposed to be. So that's a long way of saying that like we took our time to find the right people, but um, luckily enough, we got our first choices for everything. So it wasn't that tough to line them up. Like surprisingly enough, they were into it, and we took it kind of slow. Like for instance, like with Krim, the way that we approached him was let's try to do like three songs or two songs together, no strings attached, but not as a session player. Like we want to work with you. Let's just pretend you were in our band, and we want your input like a band member. We don't want you to just like take stuff I write and mimic it. Like let's pretend like you're in the band, and that's what we want. And then let's just see what happens. And like one thing led to another, and now he's in the band because it went well. But it was like the same with Raphael. With Raphael, Krim had showed me his Instagram, and the moment I saw it, I was like, "That's that's the dude right there." Um, for several reasons, but we didn't just ask him to join the band. First, we offered him a guest solo on No Rest No End, and that went great. So we offered him a guest solo on the Philosopher cover. That went great. So then we, as like a trial, we gave him a song that was like half written, Ascension, which we just put out a video for. And we're just like, hey, this one's not finished. It's like part finished, but we'd be curious to hear what you would add or what you would change. Like, no rules. If you don't like something, remove it. But what would you do? And it was great. He made it better, like made like a lot better. He didn't disrespect what was already there, and just like changed stuff for the sake of changing stuff. He only enhanced it. So, it was organic. It was a very organic thing, and but I was prepared to like make the record with only Sean and I being members
Dang, that
if
would have
we
been
had to.
crazy. That would have been crazy. And with you guys releasing this record, are any of these archive songs that you guys reworked, or the all brand new material?
It's all brand new. There's one riff on No Rest No End that's from our original like 1999 demo, like
Okay.
one riff underneath Raphael's solo. Well, underneath his second solo, that riff was from the first demo, and it's just a riff that like I just always felt like it was sad that it never got to see the light of day. But that's it. We're not really into looking backwards.
Yeah.
uh, it's just the philosophy is you can always write something better.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
so
true.
new stuff is better, and also just artistically speaking, if you think of music as a moment in time where if you're being honest with your music, like that's you're expressing where you were at, mentally, emotionally at that point, and you can't go back and like recreate that, especially if we're talking about stuff from like 10 years ago or more. I mean, I don't know, it's tough to I hear some of the archives. I'm like, that's cool stuff, but like not there anymore.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense. And with you guys like doing this record and coming back, has any of your gear changed since you guys came back?
Any of my gear,
Yes.
yeah, it's downsized considerably. Well, the technology wasn't what it is today. We used to have like I used to have a cabinet, like a rack with like a 5150 in it, and a Bogner ecstasy for leads, and then like a pedal board above it, and then like a DI, like a direct to the PA, like rack mount unit, and then the wireless and the power conditioner, and then like four cabinets. And now
Dang.
it's like a quad cortex in ears and a wireless.
That's easy. It must save a lot of weight on the trailer, right?
I mean, hopefully that's the idea, but it's not just easier. It arguably sounds better too.
Yeah.
So the new version of the band is very technology oriented, but then again, we always were. It's just the technology was different. Like even back in the day, we were bringing out lights that were synchronized to MIDI. Even when we were openers and didn't have like a lighting person, we would basically build these lighting rigs onto our gear and get the computer talking to them. And we didn't know any bands who did that stuff, not even the headliners. Now bands do that stuff, but like we were always technologically oriented. So actually coming back into this time period, I feel right at home. Like I love it.
That's pretty cool though. And with you guys you guys have 9 songs. With you guys putting out a record with 9 songs, were there any songs that didn't make it onto this record that you
Um,
wrote?
Not finished songs. There were song starts that never went anywhere, but I mean started like 40 songs, but you learn pretty quickly which are worth pursuing.
Yeah.
And so even though we started 40, these are the ones we decided to work on.
And then did you have like so you guys have 9 tracks like I said. Was what was the process picking the track order for you guys?
Well, for me, there's like some things you have to do on an album. Like you have to start it and finish it
Mhm.
like in the most appropriate way possible. Like how you start it and how you end it is possibly the most important statement you can make with a record. And so I put a lot of time into that. And then once I was pretty certain with that, from there it's like a matter of like figuring out what flows best.
Mhm.
And there's like certain guidelines, like you don't want to this isn't always true, but it's often true, is like songs that are similar tempos or in similar keys probably shouldn't be next to each other so that they don't bleed into each other. So try to get a track listing where every song is different than the last so that it's continually an interesting listen. But also when we're writing, we try to not stick to like the same key, the same tempo, same feel from song to song. So like it's you could have several different orders on
Yeah.
the record, but at least that's what the thinking was. Make it interesting and have it flow the whole way through.
Did you have a few? It's like you're saying there could be many different orders. Did you have a few that you guys kind of toyed with and you're like, nah, this is the one?
I wanted to either open with Ascension or No Rest No End, and
Mhm.
went back and forth between the two. But we ultimately decided on No Rest No End because it's just kind of an unbeatable opener.
Yeah.
So besides that, with the criteria I just gave you, the order just kind of dictated itself.
Yeah.
So it didn't take too long.
And then you guys have some like interesting song names on this record. What's your guys' approach naming these songs?
Basically, try to pull from the lyrics
Mhm.
most of the time, if possible. Try to pull from the lyrics, and try to find something in the lyrics that sums it up. That's like the best way to sum it all up, or that sounds sounds the coolest, I guess. I mean, that it sounds cheapening to say that, but like you need a name that both sounds the coolest but also encapsulates it.
Yeah.
And I think it's pretty organic to go to the lyrics most of the time.
That's true though. And like we were talking about, you have 9 tracks and you have a bunch of guest musicians on this. For those guest like musicians, did you have a certain like, hey, because you have Dan from Ice Nine Kills on there.
Mhm.
Was there a certain like, hey, dude, I want him on this track, and then you want, what was your approach with that?
It was more talking to the guests and figuring out what they wanted to get out of it, because
Mhm.
I don't like it when you get collaborations that just sound like stitched together or
Yeah.
something, where kind of not organic. I wanted to make sure that all of these collaborations sounded like you're just listening to the song, like they fit right in. So I spoke to every single one of the people we were collaborating with and asked them what are like the three solos that they've done that they're the proudest of. Not necessarily the most popular, but that they themselves are the proudest of, or that represent them best. And then I asked them about like, all right, so like in a dream world, what would be like your dream scenario to solo over? And then once we talked about that, I would then figure out if we already had a section like that. And if we did, I'd present it as an option. Or if we didn't, then I'd just keep that in mind during the writing, that this is what that person wants.
Yeah.
So I try to
Well,
give them something that like they could really shine with.
that's like a cool option. And like I said, you have a bunch of guest like musicians. For you, how'd you go about picking which ones you wanted? Like, did you have a certain reasoning for each one?
Yeah, they're all great. Um,
Of
they're all
course.
great. I mean, I just asked them, so it wasn't some big thing. It was because we're all friends, and from what I understand, most of them are DAATH fans from back in the day. So
Yeah, that's
they
cool.
wanted to contribute, and they're all, like I said, they're all amazing. And I spoke to dudes that I felt like could contribute to one of our records, because there's lots of great guitar players out there, but not all of them have a sound that's appropriate for what we do.
Yeah.
So these were just dudes that I just knew like had a musical sensibility that could be compatible with ours.
Yeah. You made a great choice, especially that's cool that they're old DOS fans. And do you have any guest musicians you'd love to work with?
Yeah, I guess if Wes Hawk wants to play a solo, that would be great. If Matt Bellamy wants to play on a Doth record, that would be cool too.
That- That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, I I've always been into the idea of the right collaborations.
Yeah.
Even on the Hinderers, we had collaborations. So it's something that we've been doing for forever.
Yeah.
So it's something that also, though, like I don't know exactly who's going to be on my radar
Yeah.
at the time of putting the next one together. which I'm actually already starting to think about. But it'll usually just come down to who do I know who I think would work and hit them up. But I mean, yeah, Matt Bellamy, if you're listening, let's do this thing.
He approaches you, goes right into your DM, slides right in there.
Hey, I would respond.
With you guys having the new band come in, do you feel like they brought you in a different direction musically with DAATH?
No, not really. That's part of why we wanted them in the band was because it's a compatible direction. So obviously, bringing in new people, you're going to take on uh, some of their DNA, but which is fine. I wanted their DNA in us. It, it, but but the part of it was because I didn't feel like they were going to knock it off course.
Yeah.
Like I felt like they were just going to enhance it. We were already kind of going in similar types of directions or compatible directions. So no, I don't think so. I think it just made it better.
I will say, because I listened to this record a few times from start to finish, it flows pretty great, though. I'll say that. I dig it. You guys released your first song from coming back last year. What was your fans' reaction, and how did they feel about you coming back with new music?
So their reaction progressed in stages. So the first stage was when we said we were coming back, they were stoked. Then when we started to let people know that there's going to be lineup changes, they were not so stoked. And started to really doubt that it would be any good. And I think, it's fair because as a fan, I know how I have felt about certain lineup changes. And also, I think that I used to hide and like just kind of be like Wizard of Oz about the whole thing back in the day. And so it's my fault for that. So I wasn't really super overt about my role in things. And so lots of fans got the wrong idea about how things worked in the band. And so they figured that with these changes, the spirit of the band's going to be gone. And I didn't let that bother me too much because I know like they just don't know how this works. And as soon as they hear the first song, they're going to know how it works. And so we put out No Rest, No End. And, by and large, people were great about it. Like the overall consensus was that it was worth the wait and that they love it. I mean, obviously you're going to get a few haters, but I think the grand majority of the longtime fans were happy about it. Thank
And were
God.
they super psyched about the people you did choose to
Yes.
join DAATH?
Yeah, that too. I think like if we had picked some chumps or something, they'd feel look, our last lineup was great. So they're some of the best musicians on earth.
Yeah,
And people love them, understandably so. And there's nothing bad I can say about them. They're great. So I get it. Replacing them, you have to really, really get some great people, or what's the point of doing it if you're going to downgrade?
that's true.
So yeah, so we got people that we knew. Um, Whether you like somebody else's style better, that's up to personal opinion. But on an objective level, everyone knows that these dudes are great.
Oh yeah. I mean, Krim, shit, like that's one of my favorite drummers in this industry right now.
Same.
That's one of the best. Like you got the top tier of drummers right now, in my opinion.
I agree.
And so like when you guys brought that was cool. And then so being out of the industry for so long with this band, how did you adapt back into the industry, because it's a different industry from 2010 compared to now for this genre?
Yeah, but gotta keep in mind that I never left the industry. So, right, I started producing bands right around the time that I started this band,
Yeah.
and I started producing in order to be able to record this band. But by the time the band went on hiatus, I like had developed a career with it, and so I went to Audio Hammer in Florida for a few years and worked on the bands that they worked on, and then started URM Academy and Riff Hard. Um, and we're best known for this thing called Nail the Mix, which we've been doing almost 10 years now. But with Nail the Mix, like basically we show people how to mix metal.
Mm.
However, it's taught by the the best mixers um, in the game, and they show how they actually mixed some of the best bands in the game. So, like, if you have Machine mixing Lamb of God, it's actually Machine mixing Lamb of God, or it's the actual tracks licensed from the label of the artists. And by doing that, so that kept me very close to metal the entire time. And then with Riff Hard, that's our guitar school. We've had some of the best guitar players in metal on there, from West to Zach Wild. So it's kind of
Yeah, that's
like I
crazy.
never went anywhere. Like uh, I just stopped doing the band, but between the production and starting the companies and stuff, like I've been very, very actively involved. I mean, that's how I know some of the people that are collabing with us. Like that's how I met Dean Lamb, for instance. That's how I met Mark Holcomb. That's how I met Mick Gordon. Like, so for me, it's not like been in another industry this whole time
Yeah.
and then came back, and then with the other dudes in the band, they've all been in the whole time too.
Yeah.
So it's not really like a shock or anything like that. We've all been here this whole time, just not as Doth.
Pretty much. That's
Yeah.
that's exactly true as you say. And with you guys releasing this fifth studio record, how's your approach for your set list gonna be? Are you gonna try to make it where it's all even? Or are you gonna add more new songs compared to old songs?
So there's some songs we have to play, I think.
Of course.
Um have to play out of respect for fans that stuck with us the whole time. So we have to do that. But I do think that new fans uh, are going to be way more into the new music. And so we'll have to also take that into consideration. So still figuring that out. But while making sure that we cover the basis of what we have to play, I'm leaning new.
And then with being do you guys are you guys gonna have a few set lists because of the fact that there is gonna be times you headline and sometimes
Yes,
you're and then with
absolutely.
with that, do you feel like you're gonna throw more into the new compared to with the longer set?
With when we play longer sets, I think we'll do more old stuff. So I think when if we're opening or direct support or something, we have limited time and we're playing to new people.
Mm,
I think that obviously, like I said, we have to play the few songs that longtime fans will be pissed off if we don't play. But when trying to like convert new people who haven't heard us or who heard us and didn't like us back in the day, I think the new material is the way to go. Plus, the new material is the music that this lineup made together. So it's what
true.
we're going to be the best at, I think. Um, Headlining, though, uh, that, I think we'll be going into each record except for self-titled pretty heavily.
That'd be cool. Is there any songs you're looking forward to playing live?
All of them. Day of Endless Light will be really, really cool to play live. But when we got together in January for the music videos, that was our first time playing Hex Unending and Ascension in
Dang.
a room as a band, and it felt awesome. Like it felt awesome, and I'm looking forward to playing that new material with these guys because it's just different. Like they were part of writing it, so it's that much more powerful. The stuff sounds great actually played. So really any of it.
I bet. And like, do you so you guys haven't really gone into a room and gone over the whole set together at all? Well, the whole
No.
album. Dang, that's gonna be interesting for you guys.
Yeah, I mean, this music's difficult and super layered, and it's so layered that you have to make decisions as what you're going to play live.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
because sometimes I'll write parts that have like 12 independent guitars or something.
Wow.
So even if we're on stage as three guitars, we still have to make decisions. So we'll have slightly different arrangements for live. Some stuff that we can't do will go in tracks, and that requires a lot of decision making. So it's not that simple for us to play these
Yeah.
songs. We have to plan out what we're going to play. Um, so we'll only be like doing that as it comes up.
Yeah, it's gonna be very interesting to see which ones you do play live then, and which ones you guys hold off for a little bit. Because I assume eventually you guys will play everything off that record live at
I
one
hope
point.
so.
I hope so too. I mean, it's a great record.
Thank you.
And then with coming back, do you have a dream tour lineup you'd love to go on tour with?
Yeah, I mean, if Slipknot want to take us out or Metallica want to take us
Damn.
out, that would be pretty cool. However, if they don't, or even if they do, it would be really, really great to get taken out by someone like Opeth or someone like Dimmu Borgir.
That'd be
You
cool.
know, those are the types of tours that I'd love to go on. Um, like I feel a lot of kinship with a lot of those, with a lot of the Scandinavian bands. A lot of people think that we're a European band, especially with this newer stuff. A lot of people are surprised. Well, I mean, we're part European, but
Yeah,
uh, a lot of people are surprised that the band is an American band. I guess originally was, but I I would love to go on tour with some of those. I guess what would you call it? Institutional. I call them, they're institutions. Like Opeth's an institution, you know.
I
Uh,
gotcha.
yeah, that would be kind of a dream. But like Slipknot, we're down.
Take them on Knotfest. Come on, Slipknot.
Yeah, you know,
Imagine.
if you just make the call.
Like I said, imagine just have Corey Taylor just pop in your DMs. What would Corey Taylor say? That'd be
Hey,
crazy.
I'd be, crazy stuff has happened in my life. So I've learned that sometimes stuff happens that I didn't expect, but lots of the good stuff has happened by me just putting it out there or asking.
That's what I've learned. If you decide to shoot your shot, 99% of the time, it could work out.
Yeah.
That's what I've learned in this industry. Um, with you guys coming back from a hiatus from this long, what's some of the stuff you're wanting to like accomplish as a goal? Like, what's your goal?
To get to the next record. I mean, I know that sounds kind of funny, but in order to get to the next record, lots of stuff has to happen before that.
Yeah,
Um, and so what I want is for this to go well enough to justify another record on Metal Blade. That's what I'd like to see happen because I mean, look, doing this record is something I never thought I'd do. So it's a miracle that it happened. That I'm talking to you, that was holding the vinyl earlier today, that it came out great. Like these are all things that are nuts. And now that it's happened, the thing is, I don't want it to be a fluke or the only time. So
yeah,
my sights are set on getting to the next one. Because I realize that a lot of this is out of my control. If people
yeah.
embrace it, don't embrace it, like I don't know, like maybe only a few people embrace it, and it's on the next one that more people embrace it. You never know how these things go. I just want to get to the next one.
The craziest thing though that I have in mind that I wanted to ask, like, you guys all live kind of separate lives. He's with Septic Flesh, you do your stuff. You guys, how do you guys like juggling wise? How you guys gonna tour? Like, how do you guys? Oh, this part of the year when everyone's off, you guys gonna like cross it off, or how
Yeah,
does it work?
good question. So the thing that I've learned from the hiatus and from doing the podcasts and talking to lots of people, I've learned that the most successful bands have the best communication. And lots of stuff like scheduling conflicts happen even in the biggest bands. But what they have that the unsuccessful bands don't is really good communication. So figured that's what we're going to get right because our communication was horrible. Uh, that's part of why it didn't work out, was really, me included, really, really bad communicators. So that was one of the first things we talked about, like at the very beginning of working with these guys, is um, let's be real, like there's going to be scheduling conflicts. Uh, and the way that Sean and I put it to Krim was like, look, our priority here is to make music with you, like, because the music we make together is great. So we should keep doing that. But we realize that Septic Flesh is a thing. It's an awesome thing. And, but that's not the only thing outside this band that exists. Like, Jesse's got Riot Games. Like,
Mm,
we all have stuff going on. And so we're not going to say no to opportunities that will move the band forward because somebody has some other tour planned or something like that. We'll just figure it out. And the agreement is just we communicate about this stuff openly, um, and be respectful of each other. And there's nothing that can't be solved
yeah,
without by like, look, if we have to get a fill in for a tour, we're not going to be the first band or the last band to ever have to do that,
Pretty much, yeah.
right? Like it
It
happens.
happens
Like
often. It
yeah,
happens a lot.
it's life. So uh as long as everyone's on the same page and cool about it, which these guys are, I think it's fine. So we're gonna just take it as it comes, and but not turn down things that would be smart to take advantage of.
With that in mind, you're saying that you guys would bring like, fill in. Do you guys already kind of have a list together? Like, oh, okay, so Septic Flesh is on tour right now. They just left on tour. What if you guys got offered? Well, that would be so far in advance. But do you have a drummer in mind or a guitar player if your guitar player is busy in mind already?
I mean, I'm sure you can guess. Like it's who you would expect for you know this type of thing. Like you'd be talking to the Rudingers of the world, basically. Like because you have to remember, like who could we bring out that would be capable of playing not like Krim because he's got his own style,
Yeah,
but like at his caliber. And then out of those people, uh, who's available and willing, and just go down, just find someone. Like it's so yeah. There's a list, but it's not like some. It's not like it's not some obscure list. It's who you would expect.
okay. And I already talked about goals for you, just career wise yourself. Do you have anything that you'd like to accomplish on your bucket list?
This was a big one. So yeah, like I said, getting to the next record, uh, I would like to be able to keep growing URM and get it to the point where I can sell it one day. And I would like to eventually get to a point where all I do all day is make music.
That'd be cool.
But um, but my life is pretty awesome the way it is. So I don't really have, it's tough for me to answer stuff about bucket lists and stuff
Mhm.
like that because I it's not really how I think. Um, so it's very much like specific goal and outcome oriented. So yeah, it's a tough thing to answer, but like definitely I want to get to the next record, and I'd like to make a bunch more records with DAATH, and would like to see us us get to a level that I think our music is at. I'd like to see the success match the music, basically.
Oh yeah, that's a good answer though. And then, do you have any advice you'd give your younger self?
Don't worry about other people.
That's not a bad one.
You can
Um,
do it without them. Like that's life wide. Like you'll be if the person, and that's like when it comes to dating or business or band or whatever, you'll be fine without them. Don't worry about it. Would be the advice I'd give.
I think like that's somewhat because I ask this often to people. I think that's one of the best things I've heard. Like that's just usually people go into detail. I wish I would have done something financially different. It's like okay, but yeah, that's a really cool answer,
Thanks. I mean, we all wish we had done something financially different,
right? Yeah, right.
but
And then for someone listening to your discography for the first time, what three songs would you suggest them to listen to?
No Rest, No End, Day of Endless Light, and Ascension.
Hell yeah, those are great songs.
Thanks.
Not gonna lie. And then, where can everyone keep up with you guys and buy this new amazing record?
Anywhere online, it'll be for sale. I'm working on getting a list of record stores that it'll be available at for vinyl. But um, if there isn't a record store nearby, you can always get it online at a indie merch or iSore, or just go to dothofficial.com, and we have links there. And I'd say Doth Official is the most comprehensive way to keep up with us.
Hell yeah. And I'd like to thank you for being on my show.
Hey, my pleasure. Thank you for having me on your show.
Well, we're gonna end the show. See you guys next interview.